Chief Kurt, are you on the line?
I am.
All right, thank you. Ms. Grimsley, are you on the line? If not, please remember to dial *9. Ms. Grimsley, are you on the line? All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Marcia Noel, assistant to the city manager and also your moderator for tonight's community teleconference. Thank you again for joining us. As usual, we will be providing to you updates on COVID-19 and city operations. Just so you are aware, this call is being broadcast on all city social media accounts and on TV 18. So as you are listening to this call, we kindly ask that you share and tell your neighbors, your friends, and those you know about it so that they too can be informed. With that being said, we're going to begin with reports from staff serving in our Emergency Operations Center. And then afterwards, any member of the community that has joined us on this line can ask a question on what will be discussed this evening. With that being said, I will hand it over to our city manager to begin with opening remarks.
Thank you, Ms. Noel, and thank you everyone from the community for being on this call. Obviously, we know that we have continued to operate in an alternative fashion as COVID-19 has impacted the way in which we do business and more specific to us as individuals, the way in which we live our lives. Nonetheless, we are doing everything in our power to continue to operate as efficiently and as effectively, but ensuring that we do not compromise the integrity of our workforce as well as the public. And so there's certain operations that you are accustomed to having access to that have been, in essence, reduced or even shut down as a result of COVID. We are still in phase 1 of our reopening plan. One of the things that you have seen play out in the press is that originally, probably about 3 to 4 weeks ago, Palm Beach County was looking to petition the governor to move into phase 2. And I can tell you from the city of Riviera Beach's standpoint, that was not something that we were looking to move into because we were still concerned with regards to increased cases. Since that time that a letter was sent to the governor, subsequent communications have been provided to the governor requesting that the governor do not consider moving Palm Beach County into phase 2. And that's in light of the increased cases that we're seeing in Palm Beach County and in the state. We do have significant concerns with regards to the local hospital's capacity to provide service in the event that we still continue to see the numbers surge. So everything that you can do as members of this community to be safe, you are also making sure that there is additional capacity at our medical facilities to accommodate those that may be in need of assistance from medical professionals. We have, in fact, seen COVID play a significant role in actually reducing some of our staffing complement. We have seen it impact multiple departments to include public safety, but our employees have been able to obtain treatment and to eventually come back to work once they fall within the parameters and the protocols we have set forth as it relates to returning to work. So any individual that is exposed or test positive, or we send for cursory testing, we make sure that all the boxes are checked before they come back into our place of business in order to protect the workforce. So we've been doing that quite successfully and cautiously. Some of the things that we are going to do as we look to eventually move into what phase 2 of our reopening operations. Phase 1 is only City Hall is open, and it's open for employment or appointments only. The information is available on our website. You can call the main line and they can get you in that day. And there is a screening protocol that individuals that are from the public will have to subscribe to, and all individuals that are working in all our city facilities are screened daily to ensure that the public is safe as well as their colleagues. So we begin having the conversation about a modified work schedule as we look at running into phase 2, which is tentatively set for August 10th. We were originally looking at that August 3rd date, but based on the numbers, I've decided to push that back to August 10th. We're looking at modifying the hours of operation, and that we believe that the public will see a benefit as a result of these hours of operation. In order to ensure that there's appropriate social distancing, we are looking at extending operational hours into the evening and into the weekend. This will allow for us to spread out our staff to ensure that services are still being provided and having some of the much needed coverage that we have in our departments, and plus to assist you, the residents of this community, in getting whatever issues or concerns or business conducted with the city as quickly as possible. We do not want to fall behind the 8 ball, and we do not want to continue to let the operations or the public's access to city services diminish. We actually want to improve that. So we think with modified work scheduling and actually bringing some of our employees back to work safely in a responsible manner, we believe that there is a major advantage for the public as well as the city. Again, we have put out our business assistance program. This is for businesses that were impacted as a result of COVID. There is approximately 40 spots that are available for forgivable loans up to the amount of $5,000. We will be releasing the first batch of payments this Friday. There are still some applications in the processing phase, and in order to make this as clean as possible and as quick as possible, it's so important that individuals submit a complete application. We do have a couple of spots available, if I'm not mistaken. So if you are interested in the city's forgivable loan business assistance program, please, please, please make it an effort to apply today as quickly as possible. The quicker you have your information in, and if it's accurate and once it's verified, we then go ahead and process the payment. We want to get it out to our businesses as quickly as possible. This is a forgivable loan, so you do sign a promissory note. In the event that you are unable to pay back that time or that money in the time that is allotted over that year, there is an opportunity for you to participate in some basic business classes that are provided through the CRA that will talk about marketing and business and budgeting and all those small nuances. And you basically get 20% for each of those classes, and there's 5 classes. So if you attend all those 5 classes, in essence, you're getting a grant for $5,000, and you're getting great knowledge, a great exposure, and an opportunity to network with other small businesses in our community. So it's a great program. If you haven't applied, please go ahead and do so. The next item is, one of the challenges we were seeing is that individuals that have gone for testing are waiting an exorbitant amount of time, or what we believe to be an exorbitant amount of time, as a result of the inundation of tests that are occurring in the state of Florida and the nation for that matter. So we used to see, when we would test employees, a turnaround time of 2 to 3 days. That's moved to 5 days. We are working with American Care, and they're working with their contractual provider to be able to provide the test results in a quicker time frame, and we're also looking at other alternatives to effectively test our employees, to either move them into getting treatment or returning them back to work safely. But if you are a member of this community and you are looking for testing, we will be going back to our previous testing site, which is the Wells Recreation Center, and doing testing on the 25th of this month. We have had pop-up testing throughout the community, and if you're interested in pop-up testing in your neighborhood or through your HOA or in your associations, please contact Ms. Grimsley, and if we can guarantee over 30 to 40 people, we can possibly assist in facilitating working with the Black nurse practitioners of Palm Beach County that have been a blessing to this agency as it relates to testing, and they have been doing the testing that you've seen at the Wells Recreation Center. Note that the testing results will probably take anywhere from 2 to 7 days, and it's a third-party entity that is in fact doing the testing and is going to provide. The city does not provide the test results. We facilitate by allowing the nurse practitioners to utilize our space, and we help with some ministerial roles, maybe some paperwork, completing of paperwork, but we do not get access to your test results. And so it's important to know that, but we definitely would like to encourage people to test, and then when you're awaiting your test, please take the necessary steps to just be conscientious and follow the guidance and direction from the CDC. If you're exhibiting symptoms and you test, it's better that you call your employer and tell them that you went for testing, you're not feeling well, and let your employer handle that how they feel is appropriate. Going into work when you are contagious is problematic for you as well as your colleagues, and this is a very contagious virus, and it operates differently from person to person. Some of the things that we've heard from medical physicians about hydrochloroquine and remdesivir and zinc and vitamins and all the other treatment protocols that are out there, I'm just asking you to really be conscientious of what you're reading, what you're seeing, utilizing good judgment. But one of the things I can tell you that is very important is making sure that you're eating healthy, that you're staying active, that you're conscientious of your health, both mental health and physical health, because if you are a strong individual that is taking your multivitamins and you're in good shape and you don't have any of those situations where you have any genetic disposition that adversely makes you susceptible to issues as it relates to this virus, it is always better that you are taking care of yourself and you're taking the necessary protocols that are being communicated. Vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, those things are certainly good for your immune system and put you in a better situation in the event that you were to contract this virus. So just be conscientious of that. Not everything that glitters is gold. Read the information, consult with medical professionals, and make good, competent decisions. But I can tell you the most important decision that you would make is when you leave your house, grabbing that mask. That mask reduces your chances of exposure exponentially. There's been cases throughout our organization, and there's been documentation after documentation after documentation that individuals can interact with people with COVID, and if they have a mask on and they're not touching their ears, nose, mouth, or eyes, the likelihood of the transmission of that disease goes down exponentially. And so it's important that you are very conscientious of that. And being in areas that are confined spaces, if you have a meeting, consider meeting outside, consider making sure you're at least 6 feet apart. All the things that we've been talking about for well over 3 months. And in closing, please be conscientious. We're still in the midst of hurricane season. You need to make sure you have your supplies. You need to make sure you have your weather radio, all the things that we have talked about as living in South Florida, to be conscientious of, the storms that are brewing in the tropics consistently and off the coast of Africa. We are always watching those, but in the midst of a pandemic and everything going on, please don't get lulled into a false sense of security or, out of sight, out of mind. We are still in the midst of hurricane season. So thank you so much for listening to these calls. We hope that this information is very helpful. Staff works really hard to make sure that you're informed. And at this time, I turn the presentation back over to you, Ms. Noel.
Thank you. Next, we're going to go ahead and get a situational report from our operations section chief, Chief Kurd.
Yes, good evening, everyone. John Kurd, Interim Fire Chief, serving as the Operations Section Chief. And just to bring Mr. Evans's points to the forefront, I want to go ahead and talk about some of the numbers. As we had discussed in the past, I'm very skeptical with some of the numbers. There's been a lot of media reports. There's been a lot of stories being written on how the data is possibly skewed. Unfortunately, that data is all we have to go by. While I look at things objectively, the one thing that I can tell you and the one thing that is an absolute are the number of deaths and the hospital ICU capacity rates. And we are seeing those numbers grow exponentially. The hospitals are reaching capacity in our area. We've even received phone calls where there are certain hospitals that are on diversion. And what that simply means is that hospital is basically not accepting any more patients at this time. So to go over some of the numbers that we do have access to from the Florida Department of Health, and whether they're skewed or not, they're very, very significant. I always like to go back 2 weeks. The total numbers are very subjective because what we're talking about March and April and May really has no effect or no bearing on where we are today and what the virus is doing today in our community. 2 weeks ago, the state of Florida reported 169,000 total cases since the onset of the pandemic. They reported 3,617 deaths. Palm Beach County reported 14,859 total cases, 523 deaths. Going into the information that was provided today, the state of Florida is now at 315,775 cases. That's up 13,000 from yesterday alone. It is the second highest number of new cases reported on record in the state of Florida. The number of deaths in Florida are now at 4,677, up 156 from yesterday alone. Palm Beach County, 23,711 cases, up 923 from yesterday alone. 638 deaths in Palm Beach County. And in Riviera Beach, zip code 33404, we're at 703 cases. To put that into perspective, from 2 weeks ago, we are up 86% in 2 weeks, from 169,000 to 315,000. We are looking at almost 1,000 more deaths in that period of time. In Palm Beach County, we are up 59%, and we've gone from 523 deaths to 638 deaths, so we're a little over 100 deaths in just the last 2 weeks. And the numbers in Riviera Beach have doubled and nearly tripled in the last 2 weeks. So the virus is extremely active. The virus is in our community. We have to continue to ask our community to utilize appropriate social distancing, refrain from large gatherings, facial coverings, hand washing, hand sanitizing, more important now than ever. I'm sure you, the community, as well as I and many people in administration here, are dealing with a little bit of corona fatigue, a new term that has been put out. but it is more important now than ever that we listen to the information that's being put out by the Department of Health and CDC. I just received information about an hour ago that Governor Ron DeSantis is going to be stepping up the testing in Florida, and it goes without saying it's related to simply the demand. In some cases, people are waiting in line 6 or 8 hours to receive testing. So he's going to expand the number of sites that are providing testing, and he's also looking to release 200,000 IgG, IgM antibody tests for individuals to be able to take a look back to see whether or not they've contracted the virus, whether they have developed the antibodies to that virus. So we should see additional testing. Riviera Beach will continue to work with our partners, with the Black Nurse Practitioners Association, to provide testing in our community. We will also work with community partners to ensure continued testing options are available in our community. But as always, we can go to pvcgov.org for their interactive testing site to look for any and all testing sites in our area. Palm Beach County has put up 2 microsites. One is at the Brands Mart in West Palm Beach. The other is at the Publix on the corner of North Lake and Broadway. And they are taking individuals on a first come, first served basis, testing up to 400 individuals a day. Testing is going to be the key to determine what this virus is doing and what it's going to continue to do. We are clearly in a second wave, and we have not seen the peak of the second wave. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this will get worse before it gets better. We are fortunate that a lot of the treatment options that Mr. Evans discussed with the hydroxychloroquine and the remdesivir is showing promise. The percentage of deaths are down. However, the percentage of hospitalizations are up, so it's almost a wash. We are seeing the same number of people pass away from COVID-19. While more people are recovering, we have a lot more people that are being admitted in the hospital. So it's relative on how you look at the numbers, but it is a threat to our community. It is a threat to Palm Beach County, the state of Florida, and for the nation for that matter. So I continue to ask the community, do what's right, protect those around you, ensure social distancing, hand washing, facial coverings, and we will continue to work to get through this together. And Ms. Noel, that concludes my report. I turn it back over to you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from our Leisure Services Beach Group Leader, Ms. Franks.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Noel. Good evening, Riviera Beach residents. Lady of Franks, Assistant Director of Parks and Rec, and serving as your Leisure Services Group Leader. Our municipal beach operating hours are through the week and weekends from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We have our beach monitors, our Riviera Beach police personnel, and our city's ocean rescue team are on site for your safety. We will continue to enforce and ensure that the COVID-19 CDC guidelines are being adhered to. There's also on-site parking, and all beach restrooms facilities are available, cleaned, and sanitized throughout the day. Remember, as a reminder, to social distance, stand 6 feet or more, keep your mask on, to sanitize and to wash your hands. And please feel free to visit our website at www.rivierabeach.org for our beach dashboard. That concludes my presentation, Ms. Noel. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from our Health and Human Services Section Chief, Ms. Grimsley.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Noel. Hi, this is Valerie Grimsley, the Youth Empowerment Director, acting as your Health and Human Services Section Chief. Health and Human Services continue to provide food distributions twice weekly on Tuesdays and Fridays at Wells Recreation from 9 to 11. To date, we've served over 5,000 residents. To enhance the city manager's efforts in keeping the citizens safe, a mass-up distribution plan continues every Friday from the hours of 4:30 to 6 o'clock. The next mass distribution will be held at Congress Lakes, located on Congress Avenue, which will be held from 4:30 to 6 on the corner. Sadie McCrae will be held on Friday, July the 24th from 4:30 to 6. Goodmark Park, Friday, July 31st from 4:30 to 6. Morrow Heights Park, Friday, August 14th from 4:30 to 6. Schultz Park will be held on August the 21st from 4:30 to 6. And Timber Pines on Friday, August the 28th from 4:30 to 6. In addition to the mass distribution, the team has partnered with our police department to broaden our reach within our communities to assist in reaching those citizens within our neighborhoods that are seen walking leisurely without masks, just so that we can keep them safe and to educate them on the importance of staying safe from COVID-19. COVID-19 testing continues within our city. We've resumed testing this past Tuesday, July 14th at St. George Outreach Center from 9 to 11. We served on that day 54 patients or clients. As stated by the city manager, the next COVID-19 testing will be held at Wells Recreation on July the 25th from 9 to 11. The phone lines will open on this Tuesday, beginning at 9 o'clock. For more information, we will post on our social media, city webpage, and other platforms for your information to get those 1-800 numbers. To address our city's mental health and our citizens, the City Youth Empowerment has been providing virtual team confidential life groups on Thursdays from 2 to 3:30 by way of Zoom. This class is being provided by a licensed clinical therapist. For more information, you're welcome to go to rivierayep.org. We are currently working on planning a parent support life group to be held virtually beginning in August from the hours of 6 to 7:30, so it will be held after work hours. There will be information also released publicly during our next community conference call, as well as on our city website. To assist our youth and our families in the threat of going back to school, we know it will be virtual. So there will be a virtual parent conference held tomorrow, and this will be one of 3 virtual conferences beginning at 5:30 to 7. The purpose of this call will be to discuss the needs of our parents and our students prior to their return to school. We will be discussing the internet services, the broadband reach, items that will be needed, tutorial needed, and any other important things to prepare our students to return to school and to support our parents as well. You can also go to rivierayep.org to get that Zoom information, and we will also post it on the city website. Ms. Noel, that concludes our report from Health and Human Services. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from our Finance Section Chief, Mr. Sherman.
Yes, good evening, everyone. This is Randy Sherman, Finance Director, serving as the Finance Section Chief. First, I'll start off by providing some updates on our hours and cost to date. So far, we've had about 8,600 COVID-19 hours reported by the city staff. The total cost of that has been approximately $1.1 million. Now, that does not count the dollars that we have set aside for the loan program that the city manager spoke about. I did speak to that office today. As the manager said, they're preparing some payments for this week, but there still is an opportunity for other applications to be received and reviewed. And again, as the city manager said, I would encourage you to do that. We'll remind everybody that on August 3rd, again, we will be returning to our normal utility billing process. So again, if you need some assistance, I've mentioned several times about the county program. You can contact the County Community Services. They are providing up to 3 months of assistance. We do have other programs, other agencies and organizations that have offered assistance. So if you've actually already used the county or been turned down by the county, please again give us a call and we can direct you to those other agencies. One thing that I will also like to alert people to, there is another shoe that'll be dropping soon. The federal moratorium on foreclosures expires on July 25th. and the governor's moratorium on evictions expires on August 1st. Have seen no indication that either one of those will be extended. So again, if you need rent assistance, the County Community Services Department, again, is providing up to 3 months assistance on that. As far as the financial impact and how that is going to play out in the city, we really don't have any idea. But again, that is something that we will be watching. And with that, Ms. Noel, I turn it back to you.
Thank you. Lastly, we're going to hear from our planning section chief, Mr. Bailey.
Yes, Terrence Bailey, Public Works Director, acting as your planning section chief. The primary role, function, and vision for the planning section currently is awaiting the final determination from the Palm Beach County School Board. As you can imagine, with 600 employees and countless students under their charge, the decisions made by the school board will have ramifications for the operations of the city. We are looking at multiple models on how to react to the final determination of the school board while still providing the highest level of service to our residents. That is the planning report, and I return it to you, Ms. Noel.
All right, thank you. That concludes our staff reports. At this time, we will open it up for any questions by members of the community that has joined us. You can dial *9 so that I can unmute your line and so that you can also ask your question. All right, seeing that there are no questions tonight, that will now conclude our call. But just before everyone hang up, I always like to use this time to encourage members of our community to do their census. As you know, this is census time. The city has been implementing various activities throughout the community to encourage our residents to do their census. If you have not yet done your census, you can simply go to 2020census.gov to complete the census. It's very important. It impacts us here locally. And from what I understand, the census will close at the end of October. So there's just a few more months left until we get to the response rate we'd like to see as a city. And hopefully by doing so, we'll be able to also benefit from our participation in the census. So please encourage your neighbors, your family to do the census. With that being said, thank you for joining us again and have a great night.